My name is Egon Kando. I'm the Regional Sales Director at Exabeam. And I will do a live demo today. But before we start to show you the capabilities of Exabeam solution, I will give you a little bit of background about the solution, what exactly we do, what the company does, how we integrate with existing SIEM, the architecture, and then we skip to a live demo. So here's the... Oh, that's strange. It does not switch. Ah, it's, oh, okay. So if you can change to my screen, can you switch to my screen? Okay, that's fine. Perfect. That's good. That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so here's what we can help with at customers. We can help to save money on logging because our licensing is based on users, and we do not license based on log volume. And the most important thing today, and I will deep dive a little bit in the live demo here, is improve threat detection. It's so impossible, and you probably heard a lot about how we can provide adaptive security, adapt to networks, and help with artificial intelligence, machine learning to improve the detection. I will deep dive a little bit more on that one. And by doing that, of course, we increase analysts' productivity. Now, let me first show you how the process in information security is working today and what the challenges are. So if you start at the top on the left side, usually this is how companies collect the logs in a log management system or in a SIEM solution. They correlate and centralize these logs in their SIEM. They define use cases. They write static correlation rules. And then they get alerted. They get alerted on known threats. So you first need to define your use cases. You have to write the static correlation rules, and you will get alerted on what you already know. And that's a problem, because usually when you get an alert, you want to understand it's just a small piece, and you want to understand a big picture. You want to understand what happened before, what happened after this alert, what is the full scope of such an attack, what are the assets that have been touched. And then, if you go back to your SIEM and search for all these logs manually, you try to put these logs together in a chronology, in a timeline, to understand how this happened, because only if you have this picture, you can respond correctly. Now, aligned with this process, there are a lot of challenges, and that's what you see in the middle of the screen. Number one, there's a challenge with licensing costs, because SIEM providers, SIEM solutions today, license based on volume. So whenever you onboard new log sources, and the volume of the logs will go up, because we create more and more and more data in the future, right? So the license costs go up. That's a big challenge for companies because it's not predictable. More important is to catch the unknown unknowns. With the legacy SIEM or with the SIEM solutions that are on the market today, you will only be alerted on the known threats where you have configured static correlation rules. And also, if sophisticated attacks, they tend to do lateral movements, they tend to switch accounts. These are distributed attacks. And when doing manual forensics, you search for a specific username, for an IP address, and try to find different logs to understand the scope. But if such an attacker changes accounts, you will lose the track. So you have challenges detecting distributed attacks or the full picture. Also, a big challenge is manual investigations. I usually say to prospects, if you have a security alert and give this security alert to 2 or 3 different SOC analysts, the report will be 3 times different, because humans work differently. They all have strengths, and they also have weaknesses. So that's why your response, it depends on your SOC analyst, might be incomplete. Now, where Exabeam helps you with is, as I said, we license only based on users. It doesn't matter if your log volume goes up and doubles or triples in the following years. It's predictable. It's always the same because it's a flat fee. Then we add something very unique, which is based on a patented technology under the hood. It's our advanced analytics. It's the patented session state engine. And with this, we analyze the behavior of the users in your network, of the assets. We build automatically profiles and will automatically detect lateral movements. Also, the whole forensics will be fully automated with Exabeam. We present to you the session timelines, and I will show that in a minute in the live demo. And by having this with the same quality for every incident, you will have the right automated response. And we integrate with Innovera's ATAR, which can automate the incident response as well. Now here's the big difference. On the left side, you see how the solution looks like without Exabeam. If, an example, Barbara starts and does some specific activities and you try to put them in chronology together to understand how did she start the day, what did she access, what did she do, and then at a specific time, Barbara switches accounts to DB admin. Now, the SOC analysts usually will look for logs that contain user B. Salazar. You will miss the track, you will miss the point where she switches accounts, and they will miss the track and will not see the whole picture. Exabeam automatically does that. Even if you switch accounts, switch devices, or cross IPs, you will see the full session timeline provided by Exabeam fully automatically. Here's the reality. Your log sources in the network usually do not contain all the data in the log source. So when you get from log source 1, an example, only the name and the device name, but not the IP address. Other log sources may provide to you only the IP address and the host name, but not the name of the user. And that's a challenge. When trying to understand the big picture, when something happened, SOC analysts try to put together these missing pieces. And that's manual work, it's hard work. And they do not really succeed by doing that manually. Now, this is what we fully automatically do for you. We add this context to the missing log sources, and we'll always tell you who has presence on an IP, who has presence on a host, what is the IP address on that host, and where does it connect to. We can tell that in any time. The big benefit for you is dramatic increase in efficiency. You save a lot of time, and I know when I speak to customers, I tend to ask the question, do you have more security projects in your pipeline than you can handle? Usually the question is yes. I have more security projects than I can handle. Now here's Exabeam gives you a lot of time back by automating all these responses. Do you have open headcounts? Can you follow up with all your security alerts? We automate this and we give you back all this time. Here's the architecture. It's an appliance that is on premise. It integrates and it connects to your Active Directory. From the Active Directory, we ingest the context about your user and your network. And then we connect to your SIEM solution or log management solution. If you don't have one, we provide one. If you have one, we fully integrate with the existing SIEM solution. And then by having the context and the content, we apply this information, these existing logs in your network, to the engine under the hood. And we have 4 engines. And these engines build the profiles, detect anomalies, build the session timeline, and apply risk scores whenever we detect anomalies. But always, what we give you back, what we provide you back, is the full picture, not only single anomalies. And how this looks like, I will show you in a demo. It's not showing my screen. Probably takes a little bit, okay? Now, this is a typical dashboard of Exabeam Advanced Analytics. You see at the right top corner, anomalies detected in this network, 448. That's a massive number. I don't want to handle all these anomalies. That's important to understand. The only thing we are asking you to take care is on the left side, a dashboard of notable users, notable assets. So out of these anomalies, because anomalies happen all the time, but out of these anomalies, the really risky ones where you should focus on is the notable users and the notable assets. This is how we help to reduce false positives from single anomalies, providing you the full picture, and, wonderful. This one. Okay, so here you have the notable users and the notable assets. And the total amount of anomalies, 448. Don't waste your time. Don't waste the time of your analysts by trying to follow up all these anomalies. It might be there's a normal, there are anomalies, but there might be a reason for it. So we decided there's a threshold. Only if the risk score goes above 90, only in that case somebody makes it to this dashboard. And we make it very easy for you to understand why he made it to the dashboard and what needs to be done. Let's say I'm interested to understand why did Barbara Salazar make it to this dashboard. It's simple, just click on Barbara Salazar, Exabeam. The first thing, we present you a card of Barbara Salazar and we tell you she's a human resources coordinator. She reports to this guy when we first saw her, last saw her, and we also automatically detect what the peer groups are. So if I click on this one, I can show you she reports to Peterson with 33 other members. So this is what we dynamically learn. So we can ingest some of this information from the Active Directory, but in addition to that, we learn this out of the box. And it's important to compare her activities with a peer group, because only when you are able to compare her activities with a peer group, you will detect if she was infected from the very beginning. We don't want to learn from the beginning her activities as being normal if she was already infected when we come to the network. We want to avoid that. Now, here we present you a risk timeline, and we can even go back to 1 month. So you immediately see Barbara behaved very normal in the past. Barbara got notable on this day, so something happened on this day, and then the risk score went above 90, now she's notable. And in order to understand what happened here, you can scroll down and Exabeam will explain to you in plain text, nothing cryptic, plain text, what happened, what are the reasons for this high risk score. By reading this, you immediately understand what happened here. But the reason why customers love us is exactly this click, go to timeline. And now if I click on go to timeline, Exabeam does the fully forensics automated for me. Exabeam explains to me, this session with this high risk score started on this day. It's May 2nd. And we have this high risk score, 272. Now, Exabeam explains to me, this session started with a VPN login from Ukraine. Probably a VPN login, in this case, I can show you this VPN log comes from Juniper VPN, right? She is using this username, B. Salazar, authenticated correctly. She got this IP address assigned in the VPN. It all looks good. So this will be a log that sits in your SIEM forever. But based on our machine learning and the profiling that we did under the hood, we learned that there's a lot of anomalies only for this one log for Barbara. We are saying, can you read that? I think that the focus of the beamer is not 100%. You can see that it's the first time she's performing activity from Ukraine. We add 20 points for that. Now, this is a statement. If I say it's the first time, you hopefully believe me because I'm Exabeam. Much better, it would be much better if I can prove to you that I'm right. And this is where we differentiate from other solutions. Exabeam will always tell you the understanding about what is normal. When I click here on Ukraine, Exabeam shows you the model that fired here. So the model that we learned for Barbara, this is the model for her VPN logins. And you see that Barbara, 100% logged in only from the United States. If I would have different logins, we will learn it as being normal for her, and we'll show the percentage, but never from Ukraine. That's why now you understand why we score this, because we can show you what is normal. Exactly the same here. She comes from, the first time, from a device called CC559 via VPN. Now, let's see what is normal for her. Normal for her is to use this device, 100%. Now you see how massively I empower your SOC analyst to get a full understanding, because he probably does not know who Barbara is, he does not know what her job role is, he does not know what she normally does. But by presenting all these models about the normal behavior, he immediately understands what happens here. And if you follow this session timeline, where we put together the good and the bad activities, you will get a full understanding, not only that she's using the first time this device, it's the first time I see this device in the organization. It's also the first time that somebody in the whole organization is coming from Ukraine. And you can follow this timeline. We're still below 90. So just imagine if Barbara, there's a lot of anomalies, but if you sum this up till this point, we're still below 90 points. Do I want to get alerted on such an abnormal VPN login? No. If Barbara would behave normal after this abnormal VPN login, Exabeam knows this is Barbara, don't waste your time. But on this day, you see, even after an abnormal VPN login, abnormal device, a lot of followed anomalies. And you see, she starts now to do what we call lateral movements. She accesses for the first time this asset, accesses for the first time this asset. She does a remote logon to this remote logon server, and this little icon tells me Barbara at this point switches accounts. Now you can see she switched this account to a privileged or executive account, or executive account SA for the first time. And we add risk points, we add more risk points. It's also the first switch to this account for Barbara. That's a fact, and we score as well. And then you see her connecting to a database, to the payroll. She's doing a copy of the payroll. If you want to go to the database query, if you have these logs, then we can present you the full picture. It's just a matter of onboarding the logs. Now you can see that she does a select operation to the payroll, so she's copying the whole payroll, and then she's deleting again. Later in the day, Palo Alto Networks fires an alert. Palo Alto tells you, I see a large outbound traffic volume. And this is a security fact. That's a good saying. We bring together all the other security vendors that you invested in already in your network and put everything together. It makes sense now. If Palo Alto fires an alert, this states I have a problem here, but it's just a piece that tells me I can show you what Palo Alto says here. This is exactly what Palo Alto gives me. It says user bSalaza uploaded a large amount of traffic volume to this URL, right? This URL. Now with this alert, if I go to a SOC analyst, I will ask him, what do you do with that? He would say, okay, I need to find out who bSalaza is. That's an easy lookup in Active Directory. And the second point will be, I need to understand what is this large outbound traffic volume. In order to get this understanding, the SOC analyst needs to go back to your SIEM and do a lot of searches. Search for user bSalaza containing other log sources, try to understand what did he access, what is the potential data that might be uploaded. But by searching for all the logs that contain bSalaza, you will lose the track exactly here. You will not see that Barbara touched the payroll on this day because she switched accounts. Now this is what we fully automatically provide for you, the full visibility. And at the end of the day, we sum up and even tell you, we saw today around about 555 gigabits being uploaded from Barbara, and her profile, from what we learned, was just 27K on average. You see here, that's on average what she uploads on average, and today she's way out of the chart. So we give you immediately all this understanding of everything that she does. We tell you what the normal is. And with that, you immediately know how critical this is. So it's not about single anomalies. It's about the whole picture, the session timeline. And that's what we do fully automatically. Now, if you go back and say, OK, I have a problem here. This might be a case of compromised credentials. Look, you click on assets. Exabeam tells you the full list of assets that have been touched here. That's all you need to check. This is, coming back to the dashboard, this is what we do fully automatically for you. And we do that for users, and we do it for assets. Some attacks you cannot catch by only have the focus on the user. Some attacks you need to build profiles around the assets, and then you detect assets that start to communicate on abnormal ports or too many users logging into this device, like a password spray attack, stuff like that. So that's where you have to focus on and to have to check every day on our dashboards. It's the notable assets, the notable users. We do so much more, and you can create these own dashboards. But what we also offer to you is a way to proactively hunt for threats. An example, if you have a suspicion in your network and you don't know how should you answer specific questions. An example, maybe you have the suspicion that somebody created an account in your network and did something wrong with such an account. I show you how you can do that with Exabeam. You go and proactively hunt for these threats, search the insider threat. And this is what we call Threat Hunter with a drop-down. So you can go, in this case, or I want to know who created accounts in my network for the last 30 days. This is how we do it. It's very simple. An example, I go to activity types, say I'm interested in account management, and show me all the sessions with a score higher than 20 risk points, an example. That's big data. I don't need to search for logs and pivot and query and pivot and search and query and pivot. It's just 2 clicks and here are the results. Well, account manager, I clicked on account management. Account management can be a lot more than account creation. If I filter for account creation, these are the sessions during the last 30 days. And during these sessions, there was an account creation event. All these 3 people. And you see, you have one notable one. The other ones are not enough to go above the 90. We don't want to spend your time, waste your time here, but you should have a look into this one. And if you want to understand what happened, simple. The full picture, click on timeline. Exabeam provides you the full timeline. And you see, this is an IT administrator. She should be able to create accounts, but IT administrators are not free from attacks. And if you go down and try to understand what happened here, abnormal access to a specific asset, and then you see a possible pass-the-hash attack, the device being somehow managed from North Korea, so she has no longer control over her device. And some suspicious outgoing connections then. And what we searched for was the first account creation here. That was the event I was searched for, but Exabeam always gives me back the full picture, not only a single event ID. Any questions? It's very intuitive and it helps your team to work much more efficient. Now I have a question, and you can win a Bluetooth speaker. Who knows what is the threshold to appear in the notable users? What is the minimum risk points to appear in the notable users or notable dashboard?
Skorun eşik değerini hatırlıyor muyuz? Kırmızı da yer alması için hangi skordan sonra?
Yeah, so what needs the score to be a minimum to appear here? Because we only show notable users when they hit the threshold of a specific risk score. It's 90 points. I keep this. I need to ask another question. What is the patented technology under the hood, what we call a session state engine? What does it do? Can somebody explain? No. Do we follow up with all these anomalies? Or how many of these anomalies do we ask SOC analysts to follow up on? Only the notable users, notable assets.